Huh. All right there, guys, that's kind of fun. They've got a bee tree right in the driveway. So that'll be a fun project for starting with some beekeeping. I'll try to get those bees out of there. But anyways, on to the front of the house. So if we look, this is the entranceway to this house. Now, when I bought this house, the entranceway, I always thought was just an awful little spot. You know, it had a nice rock chimney and stuff, but this overhang into the entranceway, and we'll get in there just a little bit and I'll show you what I'm talking about, is it's just dark. This is the front door to the house. Now, I've done some tearing apart and starting to get started on this project, but here's a door into the garage. You've got about a 2.5 foot step to get up into the garage, and it's all kind of tucked in. There's a bunch of different roofs that come together, and it's because this house was added onto so much. And it's just really not a good space, and it causes a big issue in the wintertime. In northwestern Pennsylvania, where we are, we're right in the snow belt of Lake Erie. And what ends up happening is this is such a lot of square footage of roof here that I get enough snow pile up that gathers from the upper roof on the second story, and then from this garage roof gathers in that valley, and it creates a lot of weight, and it doesn't go anywhere, and I have to shovel it off. Because that valley's there to gather everything, it can't just come freely off of the roof and land on the ground where I can shovel it like a normal person. I have to climb up on the roof, and steel roofs tend to be very slippery when they're wet with snow. So here's the plan. Let me spin you back around. Wall on the AT, all of the Tyvek and stuff is ripped off the house, so I gotta pull all that back off and put another weather sealant on the house. Now the rock chimney is going. I'm gonna rebuild the rock chimney, this guy. So that's gonna be ripped off of there, and I'm gonna continue the front wall of the house straight through and into the garage, and then this roof here is going to get torn off back to where it would be without having a lean-to here. So if I go right about there, from here over, rip the roof off. These poles are going to go, and what that's going to do is that's going to allow snow from the second story to come down, land on the roof, and then slide freely off and not get caught in any valley. So I'm basically going to remove the valley from the picture. Now the valley will still be there back up in the corner, but out of this here, it'll just be the straight roof coming off here, and then the roof coming off the garage. And then by bringing the front of the house from here and continuing it straight over to the wall here, I'll move the garage door over. This is gonna allow me to have a little boot room, so to speak, inside of the house. Now I'll continue the foundation across. I'll dig a big footer here and pour new foundation. I'll put in floor joists and bring a floor up here, and then by finishing off the front of the house, I'll be able to open this wall up to the house. I'll be opening this wall up. It'll be just a nice archway that walks into the house, and there'll be a front door. Now again, coming off of this, there'll be a front door right here. Now this wall here and the post that's in this corner is a structural support, so that has to stay there. But this wall can still be opened up into the house, and then I can put an archway here. So I've got to tear out all this stuff, start building the floor. This is going to be a really big project and is going to take some time. But I figured I would get a little bit of this filmed out so you could see what I was starting with, and then maybe do some creative filming and video and try to keep it enjoyable. But it's gonna be quite a project, so I better get to work. Well there, ladies and gentlemen. Just like every project, you're gonna dig into more than you expected. If you ever watch a home improvement show, they always find problems where they didn't expect them. Well, I had an idea that that this sill plate was going to be a little bit rough, and as you can see, I hope you can see that. Yeah, it is a little bit rough, but it is like a 10-inch or so by what looks to be like 5 inches of a piece of timber, so it is very big, and when I get back in a little bit, it's solid. So it's just this outside edge that's a little bit scabby and some of the ends of the floor joists. So to add a little bit extra work to this project, I'm gonna have to chisel away a big chunk of this and then replace it with some treated lumber that'll last longer and will support this little corner. Now it's gonna have to meet up to the foundation that I'm putting in as well. But right here we have the rest of the foundation, and then in this corner is a little bit weird. This house has been added on to so many times that you've got this like section of concrete and then like a 2x4 sill, or probably more like a 2x10 sill, and then this is the outside of the floor. So, and then now you have a little bit of a plate there, and what looks to be a drain of some kind that must have drained from the front of the house. So a lot of different things going on. This is where the original add-on goes, actually behind the block for the add-on of the bigger garage. So there is a lot of different little things going on here. I just have to make sure that structurally it's sound. I'm not going to worry about water and stuff, because all the way back here, after I finish off the front of this house, I'm going to put in a nice French tile here for drainage, and I'm not going to have to worry about the drainage back there. No water will ever get it back there once I'm finished. So I still need to, like I said, wrap up the bottom of that and get this all situated, and then I'll be digging about a 3 foot, maybe even 3.5 foot deep trench down through there, where I'm going to be pouring myself a nice sturdy footer to be building the rest of this on. And unlike this that's got that timber around the outside of it, that big thick timber, I'm going to actually pour the footer high enough and take and put the floor right on the foundation. So I got a lot more work to do, so I'm going to cut the video up, and we'll be back with you guys after I get some more done. Well guys, when it rains, it pours. So I was just, my camera work is awful. I was just starting to chisel away some of this, and noticed that it goes more than halfway underneath this. The top's still a little solid, but it's really rotted out underneath, which means I should replace at least this section that's been exposed. But in order to do that, I need to be able to support this corner of the house from underneath, and that's just dirt floor in there, and it's just a crawl space, and there's no way for me to really get my body in there, and I have to support it from underneath. So what I'm going to do is here's the inside corner inside the house. I'm gonna actually have to pull up some of this, and I've started to rip up the floor now. I'm gonna have to pull up at least enough of this floor so that I can put a little bit of a beam underneath there and jack up this side enough for me to be able to replace that. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna replace the section that runs along the front to the existing rock chimney. So even more work has to be done. Okay guys, have you ever heard of a project snowballing? Let me show you. So I dug in here even more to find out that some of these floor joists, and you guys may not be able to see very well, some of the floor joists are cracked, and I really don't know how good everything is underneath this. This is just a crawl space, and it's dirt floor crawl space. So, and I've always wanted to know exactly how. this fireplace looks underneath here. So the only way for me to know for sure, and this flooring is old and needs tore up anyway, so I need to redo the flooring. The only way for me to know for sure is to cut it out and take a look inside. Get a hole in the floor covered with a coffee can. Well, okay. I got a little bit more than I bargained for, but it looks like these are borderline. These timbers up front that the house is sitting on, they're borderline. They're about half good, half bad. So instead of worrying about trying to replace parts of them, I'm just gonna go ahead and jack up this corner of the house and replace them completely. But I got some more work done outside. I'll show you that. So I've gone ahead and dug down to the foundation, and you can see where the timber's all rotted out here. I'm going to, right along the front of this, I'm going to dig about a foot wide, maybe just a smidge more, by at least 3 foot deep so I can get below the frost line. I'm going to dig a trench across there, and I'm going to pour myself a good footer. Ew. All right there, guys. Sorry I cut out. The battery in the camera went dead, and I didn't want to stop working, so I kept working. And I found much more problems, but it's okay. The one thing nice about this project is like I had in the back of my mind that I was going to be removing all of this wall anyways. So seeing that there's a lot more work to do is not that big of a deal, because I'm just going to remove everything and build everything new. But before I can remove stuff and before I can make a big giant hole there, I need to be able to have it ready to rebuild. So I've dug out, and I need to kind of clean some of the debris out of it, but I've dug out this little channel for the footer. It's 3 foot deep, and then it runs the span that I'm going to fill in here in this area. And by putting that footer in now, I'll be able to pour it level with the old foundation, and then I'll be able to pull out those timbers like I talked earlier and put all new timbers in. Once that's in, I've got my foundation ready to start building. Then I can go ahead and remove all of this old junk lumber and all the old wall all the way back to the chimney and all the way in through here to the front of the house, and then having a nice clean blank slate, I can rebuild. Now the only other thing I did while the camera was dead is I cut a hole in the house here. There's a 4x4 timber that wall sits on, and it's got a nice upright on this corner and right on the other side of the chimney too, and I can show you that from inside the house. But that's where I wanted to jack from to support this front wall. So I cut a hole in underneath it, and I've got this piece of steel C channel that goes through, and I've got a jack on the other side. I'll show you, and that's what I'm using to lift the wall up. Back in here. Okay, so you've seen this. I've cut the floor out to see what I was dealing with, and you can see that 4x4 runs across, and then right there in the corner is a 4x4 it's supported, and then there's one in this corner too that you can't quite see. I've got that C channel coming through the wall underneath that, and then there's a jack right here that I'm jacking up, and it's a 2-ton jack, and I'm just putting enough pressure on it to support this wall. So that's what's going to hold it in place when I pull out the timbers that are rotted out. Oh, look at my face. That's what's going to hold it in place while I pull those out. So first thing to do is pour this footer and get the foundation in order so that we can start tearing the rest of the junk apart. it good enough. I'll hit it good enough. Well, because of the gaps around this form, if I continue to add cement to the top, it's just gonna ooze out and push it out from the bottom side. So I'm actually gonna have to pour this in 2 steps. I've got it filled up to the bottom of my form now, and then I'll let this set up, and then tomorrow I'll top it off and finish off the top of the foundation. Now, to adhere the 2 different pours of cement, I'm gonna take some more stones, and I'm just gonna kind of put them in there and stick them up so that they're gonna be sticking out of the top of this, so that when I go to pour the cement tomorrow, it'll help bind the 2 layers of cement together. Well, okay there, guys. Cement's all set up. It rained pretty hard yesterday, so I wasn't able to really work out here too much. But the cement's had a day or 2 to set up now, and I can get started tearing out those timbers and putting in the new treated. I'm replacing it with treated lumber 2x, but yeah, I can layer these. I can layer the 2x8s in there and then take the final one and run it through my planer to get the exact size that I want. So that'll allow me to just fit it to whatever I need. So time to get cutting. All right there, guys, we've got it all cleaned out. That this one that runs lengthwise through the house, that timber's rotted farther than I can reach right now, which means I'm gonna have to build this and support this front section, and then as I work farther into the house, replace even more of it, because it's still haven't got into any good wood yet. So now that we've got it all tore apart, it is time to start to rebuild. Well, there's more work being done. Probably gonna have a hard time hearing me with the dozer going. I asked the operator if he wanted to work on this foundation and let me run the dozer, and he didn't like that idea. But anyways, so you can see I started putting down these treated 2x, and I may have to put the audio in here, but I'm overlapping them. I've got one that runs across the bottom, and as I bring this one in the side, I'm gonna actually weave them together just to link the 2 pieces together. All right, back to work. All right. Well there, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, I've finished putting the sill plate in, as they call it, I think, and I started to put the floor in here. And because this plate rotted out, this section of the house has settled and dropped a little bit, and the floor's sloped, and I'm gonna have to jack that up and like this whole project has been doing, it just keeps kind of snowballing. So this video is getting very long, and I thought to keep it more interesting, I wouldn't have the videos get too long. So I'm going to end this here, and then I'll just do, you know, a second part to it, or third part, fourth part, I don't know, depending on how bad it gets. So, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that it's been enjoyable, and stay tuned for more videos on me fixing up this old homestead. And until next time, remember, keep it between the blazes.